This podcast is aimed at the veteran community. It hopes to recreate a conversation taking place in any naffy anywhere in the world right now. We want to combat social isolation by letting veterans feel part of this conversation. If you're easily offended, please switch off now. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to this channel and be part of the community.
Hello everyone and welcome to podcast number 10 of Veterans in Crisis. Today we have Nick Dunn, who was formerly one para and he's from Ashington. Thanks Nick for coming over today.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem at all, mate. No problem at all. You've got an interesting story, but what we normally do, we start off basically a timeline of you being, why you joined the army. I mean, assume you joined the army because you were from Ashington and you wanted to get away.
No, not really. I think it's more so the years before, obviously with kids nowadays, you don't get many kids growing up wanting to really join the military as when I did. We used to go outside playing armies, building camps down the woods. You would see a stick and you would make it look like it's a weapon because that's what we did as a kid. And I thought, you know what? I want to join the army. I wasn't the best at school. I left with practically zero, but I had a goal in life, and that was to join the best regiment the army could provide, and that was the parachute regiment.
No, would the light infantry not let you in?
No, they wouldn't.
Right.
Never would the fuse.
So, you joined the paras. You wanted to join the paras, sorry, but as a kid growing up, I mean, were you from a rich family, a poor family, or just working class, you know?
A very working class family. My dad used to be a miner. And then
so did mine.
Typical northeastern working class family. Both parents worked hard. I've got an older brother and an older sister. And my life growing up was great. We were out. As soon as that light came on, that was your arse. Get back home now, we get belted. But in a good way. It's a shame the kids don't know the discipline as what I learned and grew up as a child, but times change, I suppose.
Yeah, you kind of gone around knocking your kids around now anymore.
No.
So Ashington, I mean, I've been a few times. What's Ashington like?
It's just your typical town, really. It's got everything that you particularly want from shops. Your good old McDonald's, you know, your Asda. It's just your typical decent sized town.
Other brands are available.
Yes, if you're a Newcastle fan, you can go to Sports Direct and give Ashley your money.
So, talking about football, do you support Newcastle?
I don't support Newcastle or Sunderland. I support Man United. I know that might get a few jeers from a few people.
No, of course not. Most Man United fans come from Ashington.
Well, greatest player Bobby Charlton comes from Ashington. People forget about that, and obviously I never basically knew my granddad. He supported Man United, and obviously as I got older and got into football, I thought we'll support Man United. It wasn't my fault that they became great, but we'll just hit a blip at the minute, so we'll find our way.
Well, I'm really interested in collecting trainers and Adidas original trainers. And
all right.
There's a city series, so that Berlin, London, stuff like that. They brought a special Ashington trainer out. They did for Bobby Charlton. So you never knew that, did you?
They were probably stolen as well.
No. So school, what was school like?
Well, I wasn't the best student. People who know me, I used to skive a lot. For those who don't know what skiving is, it means playing truant. I wasn't, SWAT. I was just a typical young lad enjoying life. But the people say about when you go back, when you think of school, it's the best time of your life. And I do have some great memories from being at school. And I also remember the teacher saying, "You'll never succeed in life." Well, I did in a way, but then it went horribly wrong.
Well, I mean, you're here now, so you've made it in one way. You know what I mean? So that teacher now, when he's watching this, he'd be pissed right off. Telling you now. So joining the army, how old were you?
I joined at the age of 18, went to Catterick. I found it tough. I found it really demanding on my body because I'm not the tallest and I was a skinny little scrot. back then at the age of 18. But I thought, you know what, I want this bad. I'm going to work for it. And I finally got it. And to stand on that parade square after passing out with all your family there, with the parachute cap badge above your left eye, was a very special moment for me.
Did you do any work before with you being 18? Did you like have a job before you went?
I just did, you know, I have quite a few people in that age do a lot of little factory work, you know, just during the summer. I was helping out doing a bit of landscape gardening as well. But the military was my goal in life. That's the road I wanted to go down.
So how long was your training being an adult then? So you went to Catterick then?
I went to Catterick, and then once I passed my training, I was based briefly down in Dover, and then we changed into a role halfway through Northern Ireland to the Special Forces Support Group, and we then moved from Dover to Wales, not far from Cardiff. And then obviously from there you do different role training. I went to Afghanistan. It was an experience being in Afghanistan. You're still a young lad.
I'm assuming it was better than Cardiff though.
Oh well, yeah, definitely. I was involved in a vehicle mine explosion. Someone must have been watching over that day, because it was only a pressure plate mine destined to do some damage to people on foot, but the design of that mine literally shot up the engine block, so that was quite harrowing. It was a nerve-wracking experience, and if anyone says that's not how an explosion is on films, there is a little bit of truth in it. Your ears do ring, things slow down, and it's quite echoey, and your heart races because it happens that quick. You haven't got time to react.
No, it's a reality war, isn't it?
It
people
is,
think films and it's exciting war, and it's just scary. That's all it is. You know what I mean? It's fucking. Why do you want to be there? You know, you train for it. You want to go on, but being in it's a different situation.
Oh,
you know? It's a different
definitely.
Thing, you know. I defy anybody to say that's enjoyable. Like, it's just it's your training. That's what it's for, and that's what you want to do. But you know, it's not a good thing. Like,
so after Afghanistan, I went to Iraq. So I went to Iraq over the winter period of 2009-2010. So I joined the military 2004, and I did 6 years. Best 6 years of my life, I would think.
Do you think
Yeah.
6 years of your life?
Hard 6 years, you know, met some great people. Some people still with us. Unfortunately, with just not long been Remembrance Sunday, I was able to shed a few tears and, you know, raise a few glasses to those who I considered airborne brothers who are no longer with us. So, you know, respect to them.
That's it's a difficult day, but it's also my favourite day of the year. You know, I get to meet people who I'd really only see once a year.
Yeah.
You know, I drink far too much. I probably talk shit far too much. You know, but it's like a day that I really enjoy. And you know, and it's not disrespecting my family by saying I enjoy it more than Christmas and stuff like that. But that's the day that I really look forward to, like, you know, and it's somber and it's weird because you would think that you look forward to something that was more happy and enjoyable, but you know, once the parade's done and then I'm with me mates, it's like being back in the army. You know, it's a great experience.
I noticed this year was a lot busier than last year, so that was a good.
Where did you go to yours?
I just did my local one in Ashton.
In Ashton, so do they have a main one, or is it like little ones?
They have obviously the statue near our old library, and they do the march from the Legion all the way down, and they got the drums playing, and it was pretty astonishing this year compared to last. I was really happy with it.
It's great, man. Sunderland has the biggest outside of London.
Yeah, I've actually seen pictures on the internet, and obviously the people that, because obviously someone used a drone to take a picture, and there was millions
It's
of
just
people
great,
now.
man.
It's great. Yeah.
And so it should be, so it should be.
Oh, yeah,
People should come out, an hour out your day,
Exactly. You don't. It's not like you need to go on the drink afterwards.
No.
You leave that for the military people. But to pay your respects, what people don't realise, we gave up our Christmases, we gave up our holidays, so you didn't have to.
Yeah.
And our forefathers gave you the future that you keep whinging you don't have because we've stole it. Well, I think you need to look yourself in the mirror and think how grateful you are to have the life you have if it wasn't for them. So I think it's good having people, teach about World War One, about World War Two, about sacrifice in schools. And I know it's just recently been on TV that we should abolish that, but
I think it should be more encouraged than abolished.
Exactly. Are you going to listen to a bloke who gets Botox and has his eyebrows waxed?
You're not be talking about us like that. So you went to Iraq.
Yeah.
So was that still in the military? Or
that was my last tour in the parachute regiment, and I left in 2010. And
so why did you leave?
A new challenge.
Right.
A lot of people that I served with were jumping ship, so to speak, whether it be going into maritime or going into close protection into, say, Africa, Iraq, Afghanistan. I'm qualified to do both. So my break was maritime, and it was great. Yeah, it's mundane being on a ship where you can be days and you can't see nothing different. You don't see many ships. You can see them on the radar, but through your eyes you can't see them because they're that far away. But I enjoyed it. I met some great people, multinational people who I'd never dream about seeing. Having a bit of, a laugh with the crew and all that was quite good, and a bit of an experience in life for myself.
So, how old would you have been then?
26, 27.
26, I mean, and were you single then as well?
Well, I was single, yeah, of course, because obviously a lot of people, don't like long distance relationships.
This is it, that's why I asked.
So, working away, it was good for me. I was just come home, bit of leave, and up and away, and that's the life I chose, that's the life I wanted, and I was enjoying it. And then it kind of stopped. Like someone had just gone, pull the power plug out, and then that was my life stopped abruptly.
Do you want to explain to the viewers how that happened, or you don't have to go. I know you've got a book coming out, so you can't spoil it for everyone, but if you can just give an outline of what's happened.
I can still give an outline on a lot of people who may have heard about my story. It lasted quite a substantial length of time, 4 years, but October 2013, while doing anti-piracy, the company that I worked for, they had a support vessel which I was currently on, and I was just as a passenger on that, waiting for my next job. We called it in maritime transit, so I was just waiting for my next deployment. So the vessel itself needed provision, so it needed fuel, food, water to sustain however long it needed till the next time. So the evening of the 11th of October 2013, our vessel was taking fuel on board. I went to sleep, and then early in the morning we were woken up by our tactical deployment officer. He is the guy that's in charge of the weapons, the kit for the security guys. So he, once a ship needs security, he'll dish out their kit and equipment and send them on their way. And then he kind of went round the ship and says, by the way, gentlemen, we're getting escorted at gunpoint by the Navy, the Coast Guard of the port of Tuticorin. And from where the vessel was at anchor to where the dock is it wasn't that quite far. Normally it would take probably an hour and a half max, depending on the sea state. But we were going very, very slow. And I kind of was thinking, why are we going so slow? This doesn't sit right. If they're eager to get us back there for whatever reason, why we've been, boarded by the Coast Guard, because we didn't know at this time, why aren't we going any faster? But the reason why we're going so slow is because upon entering the port of Tuticorin, we had a welcome committee. And I'm not talking about 5 people, I'm talking probably nearly 50, close to nearly 100 people by that port side from different organisations in India. So we didn't know this at the time, but as obviously the time's gone on, you're starting to believe that I think we've been set up. I'm quite 100% true that we have been set up, because how would they know we were up to no good? That's how they portrayed us. We're just doing our job. We're taking fuel provisions for our vessel so we can carry on doing our duties. And obviously our agent, he was Indian. That was the nearest port. So obviously, hence why we were near India to get all of this fuel and provisions, etc. So when we come to the port, you're in a different country and all hell goes loose. Everyone just boards the vessel and you're trying to say, stop, you can't come on, because if everyone jumps on this vessel, we are going to capsize. That's how many people there was.
Really?
Yeah, it was. They were like rats.
How big was the boat you were on though?
Oh, probably about 50 odd foot.
Really?
I can't physically remember, but it wasn't the biggest. It was just,
in my mind, I'm picturing it was a massive ship.
No, it was just like a Coast Guard vessel.
Yeah.
Like it was literally an old Coast Guard vessel. But you could get probably about 20 odd people, maybe a little bit more, living on that vessel during times where you're not on other client vessels. So we come to this port and we're like, what is going on? So we were told to just keep out of the way. So a few days in port, your passport, your seaman's books, getting back and forth. Different organisations coming on, the TDO and all that. They're taking them down, saying, look, this is the kit and equipment. As you can see, it's all locked away, in pelly boxes, the weapons locked away, ammunition locked away. So we were showing them we've got weapons for anti-piracy use only. These weapons are all documented, accredited, legal bound weapons. Not weapons of war, weapons for the sole use of anti-piracy. And one company after the next, yeah, there's nothing to be had here. And then 4 days into it, the local boys called Q Branch took control. They had the weapons removed. They said they found weapons to their media, and I'm thinking, well, how have you found the weapons? We've just showed you them. We've got nothing to hide here because we've done nothing wrong. But they blew a mountain out of they made a mountain out of a molehill, and next minute it's all over the media that we're selling weapons to fishermen. We're going to do a seaborne Mumbai style attack to attack the nuclear power plant. And
is that what they were saying? Right?
That's what their media were portraying us nearly on the same lines of terrorists. And I'm thinking, you're calling me a terrorist. I've spent most of my young adulthood fighting against terrorists. You're going to have to pull another one here, because this isn't washing. Something has got to give. We need the embassy involved. Apparently,
have they not even been involved in all them days? Like,
no. Apparently, what we got told is the embassy got refused entry. There was a person from our company, he refused entry to see us. We were literally on our own, and we had a local Indian part of the crew who was doing pretty much translation, because you've got to think not all Indians can speak fantastic English, and the police down in Tuticorin in Chennai, they didn't speak great English, so it was kind of a massive language barrier. You're hot, you're sweaty, you don't know what's going on, and different organisations coming and going, and this went on for nearly 6 days. And then
we like kept on the ship.
Yeah, we couldn't leave the ship. We actually started a guard routine on the ship to stop random people coming in. I remember being in bed one night and some guard came snooping into our room. Well, obviously he got told to F off, basically, in a very polite English manner. But for them first initial days, you don't know what's going on. You're ringing your family, telling what's going on. I was saying, well, because this is what we were told. I just go looking at the paperwork, making sure everything's A-OK, nothing to worry about. Hopefully it'll all be done and we can get on with way. And that's what it looked like, to be honest. And it just went Pete Tong, I'm afraid. On the morning of the 18th of October, they said we need to leave the ship for hospital check-up. And we're like, what do we need in hospital check-up? To make sure you are not carrying any diseases. And we're like, but why are you taking me off the vessel anyways? Obviously, they couldn't turn around and say, I would have preferred it if they did it this way. If they just turned around and said, we believe you have illegal weapons, blah, 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 we're arresting you, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't. They just lied. That's the problem. And British Indians will agree with me. The full-blown Indians, they can't lie straight in bed. They are compulsive liars, without a shadow of a doubt. And they lie to you, smiling and smirking in your face, which irate most people. It definitely irated me. And I was like, how can you look at me and lie about what your intentions are? So you've got 4.5 hours time difference. So it was early morning. So back in the UK, people are asleep. And I rung my sister, Lisa, to say we're getting arrested, we're getting removed off the vessel. Not in the words of what the police said we were, but we aren't stupid. And she never answered, which people are asleep. You know, so I rung my mum. Her tablets hadn't kicked in, so she kind of answered her phone. And 4 years on, I wish she never answered that phone, so I could cling on to the memory, because the only memory that I've got now is that. The conversation I had with me mum was the final conversation I would ever have properly with me mum. And I was said, Mum, we're getting arrested. I don't know when I'll next speak to you, when you'll next see us, but I love you. And just to let you know, I've done nothing wrong. And hopefully the embassy can get out of this mess, because, like I say, I don't know what's going on. And I literally didn't know what was going on. And no sooner I put the phone down, my sister literally rung back. And I told her, I said, get the embassy now. Get the embassy now. The shit's going down. And that was it. So as we're getting escorted onto the bus, so people with reading glasses couldn't take them, people who smoked, you couldn't take them, you couldn't take your wallet, you couldn't take your phone, you couldn't take your belt.
Bit weird when you only gone to hospital, though.
People who had wedding rings couldn't take their wedding ring, and you're thinking, it's just a strange hospital we're going to, isn't it? So they escorted with blues and twos. Media going absolutely berserk, following, because God knows what they're being told, but they're being told something fandangle. absolutely unbelievable. We were like top story at the time in India. So it was just a harrowing experience. And we got to the police station, and picture being in a police station. It's hot, it's sweaty, you're not getting food, you're not getting water, your mind's going all over the shop to why you're here. You've got Indian police officers in broken English with a piece of paper, sign this or we will destroy your life. And you look at the piece of paper and you think, it's blank. Why are you wanting me to sign a blank piece of paper? I said, if I sign it, you're going to destroy my life. If I don't sign it, you're going to destroy my life. So I never bothered signing it. People were signing it and God knows what. It didn't matter. You could have said your name was Father Christmas. It didn't matter, because everyone's passports, whether you're English or foreign, especially, we were with Ukrainians and Estonians, it clearly states their name in English, in block capitals. And these Indian police couldn't even copy simple words. So everyone on that charge sheet had their name wrong. Would that stand in a court of law in UK? No.
Of course it would.
But it did in India, because they can do what they want. And they did. And they did that for 4 years. 4 years, I lost my life. We all lost our life. People, marriages broke up. I nearly lost my mum due to a double aneurysm. I was in a prison. I don't even think we had charges at the time. I think they just put some weapons offence charges on. We're saying they were illegal, and God knows when. But the first prison, the first prison we went to, we spent more or less 6 months there, and five days before Christmas 2013, I get a letter off my sister, and to this day I don't even know what that letter states, what it says, but when words jump out, and it was, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, she's okay, she's okay, she's okay. Well, when you're in a prison and you're an innocent man and you've done nothing wrong, and you're getting a letter from your embassy saying your mum's had a double aneurysm 5 days before Christmas, and for those who know what that is, it's a blood bubble and it bursts in the brain and you don't survive it. That's the reality of an aneurysm. You don't survive it. Your brain going, that's it, I've had enough. She did. She had a double one, and she showed grit and determination to not give in, because she believed she wanted to see me again. But being in that prison, all emotion, I didn't know what to do. Anyone who's military will know the red mist comes down. So as I'm walking back from the jailer's office back to my cell, which was pretty a long walk, I'm walking in tunnel vision. I've got scrawny little Indians screaming on. I don't even know if they had a stone through it or not. I'm not bothered. It's like my life had ended. I'm battling the red mist and I'm walking like this back to my cell, and I saw one of the other guys and I just broke down. He took us away. I just broke down. Anyone who knows me, I'm a mammy's boy. Simple as that. And I have to live with the rest of my life knowing I can't have a normal conversation with my mum. Yeah, she does have a bit of a speech problem, but I wish she never answered that phone now. I really do. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have rung her. And then I can cling on to the memories of our previous conversations, but I can't even remember them. The only memory I've got is her last words, normal, and it destroys me every day. People say, you'll get over it, you'll get over it. I don't think I am. I think I talk about it, I get upset. It's, for me, a bit of a healing process. It does. I do feel better getting things off my chest than to let the red mist take control, because if I let the red mist take control of me when I was in India, I wouldn't be here today. And I know that sounds selfish. I've said it before, people who take their own life or think about taking their own life, I used to say, you're selfish. I've been there, I've had them thoughts most recently, and it's not nice, but you've got to not give in. You've got to get rock bottom to realise how much you will lose and how much hurt others will have if you take your own life. And I never want to have them thoughts ever again. And I like I say, I was in prison for a crime I've not committed. I've just been told the most devastating news. How do I get on with things? Well, for starters, I joined an amazing regiment, and the grit and determination that I showed to become a parachute regiment soldier, I used that whilst I was in prison to help with me mentally. But the problem of being in the military, it's more physical and a bit of mental. Me in India was just pure mental. There was no physical demand and torture. It was just pure mental torture for 4 years, and it was hard. I'm not going to lie, it was hard. But during that brief period of time where we were in prison, it was hideous. You know, like, people go, oh, I've been to Durham prison. I'm thinking, yeah, you've been on a PlayStation, you've had a nice comfy bed, nice TV, watch DVDs, phone calls to your family, visits every day of your family. I guarantee you, if you went to the prison I was in, you'd be crying. Where's me mum? I can't handle it. Because take the basic of basic prisons. No toilet, hole in the floor. Bucket to wash away, a bucket to wash. So we had 20 litre buckets. I can literally wash my whole body with a quarter of that bucket, because the prison used to switch the power off, which stopped the pump feeding the water into the compound. So you learn to ration water. That's another trait from being in the military. People who are non-military will just use it. And, you know, so learning to wash your clothes, scrubbing them in a bucket of water. So little things we take for granted. Washing machine. Hot, clean, running water. That water we used, yeah, it was fairly clean. But who's to say it was as clean as our water? It's not. Definitely not. We had to cook our own food, because if we ate the food that the prison provided, we probably would die. It was awful. It was just, but they're prisoners. Why should they get nice food? Yeah, you're not in there to have a nice time. You're a prisoner. So we had to cook our own food. So we had to prepare our food. Most of the food that we would get would be the ingredients if you were to create a stew. And the stews were pretty bland till we started getting a bit of condiments, like your OXO cubes and stuff sent in the post through parcels, just to make it taste that little bit nicer. And we would have average probably one meal a day. In the mornings, like, we would go to the kitchen and fill some hot water up so we could have, like, tea, coffee in the morning, and we were able to buy porridge. But if you didn't want porridge, the prison would provide you eggs and chapati. So 2 boiled eggs and a couple of chapatis for your breakfast, and then your main meal when that was made. that was your food basically, and biscuits from the prison shop just to munch on. And we lost quite a lot of weight.
That's exactly what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
Did you lose loads of weight?
I lost 10 kilograms. I'm into the gym, and I was fairly decent size going into prison, but I done an extreme diet. Yes, people go, "Oh, you've only lost 10 kilograms," but I've lost 10 kilograms in the most unhealthy way possible. I can't remember seeing the pictures, but obviously my sister showed us when I came out of prison later, the second time after we got convicted. At least you don't look like this in this picture. And I looked at it and I went, wow. So a picture you're not getting your nutrients that your body requires, and you look withdrawn. You look ill. You literally look ill, and we did get ill in that prison. Everyone literally got ill. We contracted some mini virus, and people were bedridden. I was bedridden. I think, if I recall, I think I just pissed and shit myself and was whitey and being sick because we were ill, and that literally went through everyone, and it was horrible. And I guarantee if someone got really terminally ill in that prison, would die before we could get the guards to come over to the cell, because they don't care. They didn't care. You're just a number over there.
Were you in the cell with another person who was on the ship with you, or were you in the cell with an Indian person, or on your own?
There was 35 people on that vessel. 12 of them were crew, and 25 were armed guards. Don't know why, but when we physically went to that first prison for like a day or two before getting moved to Chennai, the Indians stayed down there, and we went up to Chennai. So 23 foreigners went up to Chennai, and I shared a cell with 3 other guys. And I have a funny story to tell about my time in that prison, but obviously come March next year, I've got a book coming out, so you can read about it.
Exactly, if you want to listen to that funny story. I want to hold you to that, man. It better be fucking funny if I'm buying a book.
It wasn't all doom and gloom. We're ex-military at the end of the day. We'll have a bit of banter. We can make a bit of banter over nothing. But once that cell shuts, and that horrible clacking noise, and the keys turning and locking it, your morale sucks away, and family, friends, life just gets sucked away, because you realise where the fuck you are. And sorry for swearing, but you do. You realise where you are, and it's not a fucking game. It's not, I'm on exercise, or wait for that little wagon to come and that's me. There's no, when am I getting out? You don't know. Your life is in their hands. Your life is just... My life for 4 years stopped on the 12th of October 2013. I was 27 and I came home at the age of 31. I spent 3 Christmases and New Years and birthdays in prison. I saw my family, my sister 3 times in prison, my dad once, and I obviously saw them when I came out of prison. But I don't think people realise when they go, oh, I'm free and this and you people take that for granted. I couldn't be free. Yes, we're in a prison. They would unlock we at 6 o'clock in the morning, roam around, do what you want. But it was too hot half the time. So you'd be sat around doing crosswords, word searches, reading books. People who know me, I can hardly read and write. You know what I mean?
Just wrote a fucking book.
You know what I mean? But I read quite a substantial amount of books, because you have to, because you need to keep your mind sane. You need to do something with your time.
Did you just never fancy trying to escape? That must have come into your mind. Loads of squaddies. But now we must have been thinking, dig a tunnel, put this stuff down your trousers, walk around the exercise yard. It's weird to get rid of it, man.
It wasn't. To be honest, I looked at that prison when I was in, and I never thought about trying to escape. I went through the thoughts of escaping when I was out of prison. So
I suppose you didn't want to escape because you were innocent. That's probably the reason.
That is the reason why I never went through it, because if I say it went tits up and I was captured, they would be like, well, he's clearly not innocent. Why is he trying to escape?
Exactly,
that's when reality hit. So we got bail April 2014. So spent Christmas and New Year in that prison, getting told about me mum having a double aneurysm. So that was like 6 months of my life I'd never want to remember, but unfortunately I do, and it's part of my life now. We got bail. We had to sign bail twice a day, and we did that for 3 months, and then the case got quashed in July 2014, and the charges that I had were gone. I was technically, from that moment, a free man, and the police, to appeal up to the Supreme Court, had 90 days. So if they didn't appeal in 90 days, that's it, it's time, go home. But we had letters from our lawyers stating Indian law, and we had a meeting in the embassy. We had a few people come down from New Delhi, and we were saying, get us home now. It clearly states we do not need to be here. Get us home now. And it's the only thing I can turn around and say to my government over the 4 years where you let me down is that moment there, because they turned around and went, we don't believe they're going to appeal. I said, you're not languishing here. You haven't been to prison. You haven't really dealt with these people. They are set out and have a one goal mind, and that's to make us suffer. So they went away. We're thinking, so what do? I start thinking, right, let's try and escape. I've had enough. You do. Anyone who's good at geography will know where India is. You've got Pakistan one way, you've got China the other, you've got Sri Lanka down, and you've got the ocean. So it's not the easiest place to escape from, especially when you're a white man and you stand out like a spare part, which I did. I stood out, and there's no way I could go unnoticed. But obviously you go through the motions, you start and think, and I remember being in the hostel room, and I broke down on the phone again, saying I can't take this. I need to get home. But like I said earlier, you've got to break and feel like there's nothing to live for you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I believe personally, I broke down on that phone, and a new me emerged from that, where I was like, you know what? They're getting under my skin, but no more. That's it. I will leave this place when this is done. Hopefully sooner rather than later. And I became a more positive person, a positive mindset. Because I spent a year and a half out of prison, I started socialising by going to the gym to keep me mental state going. And not all Indian people are bad. I met some fantastic people over there, and you can't just sit in your hostel room dwelling, being miserable. So obviously with time, and obviously 4.5 hours of difference in the winter, 5.5, to communicate with my family via Skype, it can be quite of a trick when people are working. So I'm normally speaking at 2:30 in the morning over in India, and it's like 7 o'clock over here.
What did you do for money?
Well, we didn't get paid, and I still haven't received any wages from the company. And
I'm sure they owe you 4 years back payment.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and obviously you can say compensation. Well, I haven't received any compensation either. But for money, family. My family's in thousands of pounds worth of debt just to keep a roof over my head. And people think, well, you were living the life of a king. Well, no, I wasn't. I was living in a hostel which cost £10 a day. Oh well, that's not enough. Times that by every day for nearly a year and a half. It sure adds up. And I'm not going to eat biryani and chicken and rice every day, even if though it's good for the gym. But it's nice to treat yourself now and again. So I'd go to a nice restaurant and just keep a bit of morale, if you know what I mean. But money, we had whilst we're in prison, we had a company called Prisoners Abroad. So every so often every few months they would put money in our prisoners' account. When we were out of prison, I had the Parachute Regiment, Army Benevolent Fund, British Legion doing their bit. And I tell you what, without their input in financial terms, I would have been living on the beach. Simple as that. I would have been living on the beach in India because I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I can't keep bum with my family. It's not fair. But my family would not let me live on the beach, so if need be, if they had to find it hard back here in the UK to make my life over in India a lot easier, then they would do that. And that's the family that I've come to love even more after all of this. So that was the financial side of things over in India, because I wasn't getting paid.
It's a disgrace. I mean, fucking the whole story's a disgrace, like, but you would have thought the company would have paid you your wages while you were there. A lot of companies with their contracts, they have like a capture payment. So sometimes you would get either half your pay. What if you've been captured? Like,
so they call it capture pay or something along those lines. I'm sure someone will try and say, "Oh, it's classed as this," and I'll be like, "Well,
who cares?
Who cares?
You never
really?
got the cunt anyway, did you?" So
I didn't get it anyway. So, but say you're getting £250 a day. There you go. Half that. That's what I should be getting paid. They even turned around to the family guys, came over to the UK and went, yeah, we're going to pay the guys their wages. They didn't. They haven't paid zero. They haven't even been in contact since I got out of that prison to say we tried, because I wouldn't take any excuses they could throw at me. That's a simple fact. I want nothing to do with the company at all. They left me to rot when they could have turned around and done so much more. They basically proved to the Indians that we'd done something wrong when we hadn't. Who would do that? That's disgusting. We were left to rot. And if it wasn't for family, friends, people of the UK, more so the people of Ashton, come together to show support, I don't know how I would have gotten through it, because they're the ones who got me home.
That's a community spirit, mate.
Along with my lawyer, they got me home. People who donated, people who shared, people who wrote kind words on social media. I'm in a prison looking at these kind words and thinking, you know what, there's people out there caring and supporting, and that's what got me through day to day in the darkest days of my life, and they are 4 years of hell.
I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like, but I assume, like, because it's nice when someone says something nice to you about you on social media when you're here, and
definitely,
it is, isn't it? Just reading that must have been brilliant. Like, so going on to you sort of, how did you, or can you talk about how you got acquitted or not, or how you got
it's like all what I'm really saying now. in a little bit more, it's all over the media anyways, but I can't say too much because then no one will buy my book otherwise.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
to be honest, I can talk 4 years. I would put myself to sleep. That's why I've got a book, because it's so hard. So much went down. A lot of people thought I'd literally done 4 years in prison. I haven't. I've done a couple of days in one prison, 6 months nearly in another, a year and a half out of prison. I was a free man and didn't need to be there. And then we went for a trial, September 2015, and so the Indians appealed on day 88 of 90. Yeah, and we told the government they will do that, and they went, no, they'll not appeal, and we're like, So that went to Supreme Court. It didn't go well in Supreme Court because one lawyer's saying this, another saying that, and they're saying that. So you left the judge with no option. He's gone, well, there's 3 different things, we need a trial, so where's the trial going to be? And we told the embassy week 1, day 1, if this goes to trial, you do realise it will be here in the Lion's Den. It was in the Lion's Den. But so we've gone from Tuticorin, Madurai, New Delhi, back to Tuticorin for a trial, and the trial was fantastic. It looked amazing. We were going home. Before we had the Christmas and New Year break, before Judgment Day on the 10th of January 2016, even our lawyers turned around and went, we've done everything we can. How can they possibly get a victory from this? Is unbelievable. And we're thinking, it's India. It's a very corrupt country. Anything can happen. But you didn't think that. You thought, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this Christmas. So I went for a nice Christmas dinner, nice Christmas meal. I went up to Bangalore, the next state in Karnataka from Tamil Nadu for New Year. Because I thought, I'm going to enjoy this. There's no way I can not go home. So it came to that day, and obviously everything's happening in the UK media-wise, media trying to get in contact with me, and I was kind of slightly late because the media was just relentless in a good way, but I was kind of rushing a bit, and we stood at the back of this courtroom because there was no seats for us. It was hot, it was sweaty, and you have to wait for our legal team to come and tell you what's going on. You had the Estonian embassy there, you had our girls from our consular, waiting to hear things so they can give feedback up to New Delhi and obviously back to the UK. And I said to one of the Estonians, because the way the courtroom was, you've got like 2 outside corridors, and I looked at the corner of my eye and I saw people moving. I was like, and I turned and I saw police going down the outside of the courtroom like they were expecting something to happen. And I was like, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. And then the judge's helper got up and said something in Tamil, and we're like, what? Well, everyone knew our embassy, the girls were like that straight on the phone because they were local. That's what the consular does in every country. We get local people to work for the British government for relations. They were straight on that phone because it wasn't good news. And I've seen my time in the army, people looking scared and not knowing what's going to happen, but seeing our lawyer come towards 35 men, I must admit he was shitting himself. So once he got nearby, we were like, so what's going on? And he went, you've been sentenced to 5 years, and I just went, oh. But we handled it like professional people. We didn't kick off. Yeah, there was effing and jeffing. Of course there would. You thought your life's going to go back to normal. You're going to go home, and next minute you're going to prison for 5 years, and you're thinking, wow. And how the judges convicted us is took the original design method of the weapon that they deemed illegal. So out of the 35 weapons, 25 people could only use them, but 6 of these weapons they deemed illegal. These weapons were in Mumbai, all stamped, all A-OK, 1 month previous to our arrest. Yet they're deeming these weapons illegal. During the trial, you got the ballistics experts saying, yeah, Your Honour, it's a dummy switch, it cannot go to fully automatic, it's semi-automatic. And the judge went, duly noted. And you thought, well, that's it, game over. But he's looked at the original G3 design method, and it's these weapons are designed, to fire fully automatic, and then he's not added the rest. However, this particular weapon's been, had parts removed, etc., and can't be replaced for single shot, only for maritime purposes. He's just gone, boom, original weapon of war, bye, ta-da. So basically he's just gone on its head like that. And you're thinking, is this man a lunatic? Absolute lunatic. I felt like strangling him and saying, are you stupid? How much have they bought you? How much have they bought you? Because that's what's happened on that day. They bought the judge. They had to. So, as you can imagine, all hell's broke loose. The media rung us, and I know I was probably out of order, but I said F off, speak to my sister, and hung up. And I rung my sister, Lisa, who was going with me, my mum's good friend, to my mum's, because of the time difference, it was quite early in the morning. I said, Lisa, it's gone tits up. She went, what do you mean? I said, get mum's now. I'm going to ring Dad. I told my dad, and my dad's not an emotional guy. I've seen my dad's emotions once, and that's when I told him I was going to Afghanistan. But he's not good with his emotions, so I can't imagine what he was like after that phone call that I told him. I said, Dad, that's it, we're going to prison for 5 years. He says, but the weapons is fine. I said, Dad, I know they are. You've seen you've seen it. So he says, well, how can they get away with this? I said, because they can do what they want here, and they've proved it. So I now have to make another phone call, and I thought ringing me mum was bad the first time. This was 10 times worse. How I didn't run and smack that judge in the face and strangle him, I would have done murder. But like I say, you've got to act professional, you've got to hold your emotions. But having to speak to my sister, obviously they put it on loudspeaker of the phone. Obviously I kind of told my sister, I said, Lisa, I'm sorry. She said, what do you mean what do you mean you're sorry? I said, I'm not coming home. She went, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to prison. They're sending me down for 5 years. And at that moment, my mum just screams down that phone, and that will stay with me for the rest of my life. That is not what you want to hear down the phone. You want to hear cheering, happy voices, and I just gave them utter misery. If I could have gotten away without making that phone call, I would, but it would be totally unfair. I would rather them hear I was going to prison from myself than the embassy. And we went back to prison. So we went back to Chennai, and we done a further 2 years there. So another Christmas, another New Year lost. My birthday's on March the 1st, so my sister came to visit us in March, and I was just saying, you've got to get me dad to come over. He's not a young man anymore. He's 73 now. I said, you need to get him over. And my sister was like, I can't bring him. I said, bring him. I'm here for 5 years. What if his health deteriorates? I can't even see me mum because of her health at the time. And it wouldn't be very suitable for me mum to be there. It would crush her immensely seeing a little baby boy in prison. But when my dad come into prison, I was rock bottom. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. You know, we have a limit. We have a limit in life. And I remember we're in prison. We built a little makeshift gym. And I was training at the time, and one of the Indian guys came up. He'd done the mail for the prison. He says, "You have parcel. You have parcel." I went, "I'll get it later. I'm training." He went, "No, you have to sign for it." I was like, "Fuck yeah, man." So I put my vest on, and I was marching down, and I was ready to kick off, saying, "I'm bloody training, man. You know." Because I just wanted a bit of me time just to, you know, chill out as I did. I got myself into a routine when I was in prison. And one of the British guys was there, and he was like at the door going, "Big parcel, mate, big parcel." Because he's obviously gone down for his parcel and he'd seen what was awaiting me. I walked into the jailer's office. And the jailer sat there, he's just chilled because he knows what's happening. And they're not all bad people. They're not. They didn't want us in that prison as much as we didn't want to be there. And I turned to him, I went, "Jailer, where's me parcel? There's no parcel there." And my sister literally jumps from behind his desk. And I just freeze. And it was like an emotion train wreck, like spirits had been lifted, because I didn't think they were coming, because obviously they were getting a bit of stuff, Jen, as us military people will say it, basically taking us away from things in my letters, saying that, "Oh, well, I've got some stuff that I don't think I'll be able to come for your birthday this year," because they thought they would rather come and see us on my birthday, make it a bit more special for us. And my sister came, and me and my sister were having a hug, and the Indians, they don't like it, the intimates, you know, hugging, even though it's family, they don't do it really over there. And I thought the guard was tapping us on the shoulder, and I was like that, and literally spun us round, and my dad was there. He was hiding behind the door. But because I walked in like a bull in a china shop, I didn't notice him. And it was just an amazing feeling. So seeing my sister, morale's gone up. But seeing my dad, because I thought during that time of me being out of prison and being unable to just pick up the phone and ring me mum, I was doing it to my dad. So my dad I think the relationship between my dad, it blossomed into something more as well. I'll always be a mummy's boy, but I think the relationship I've got with my dad now is over the past 4 years, 6 years now, is just an amazing, and I love him to bits. And I always, you know, feel grateful for him coming over to India to see us, because it's not what a parent wants. They don't want to see their loved ones in prison, you know, and that was great. You know, and that the months go by, and at this we are still waiting on a decision. And it's the second year out of the 2 year, the 5 year sentence. So we've gone through our appeal at the decision, and you're waiting a year for a decision, because they didn't want to make a decision. And I'm like, is this not contempt of court?
It's torture, that's what it is.
You know, hang on a minute, just give her a decision, because because where we were, they could hold on to it, but something will give, and it did. It did eventually. Even if it went tits up and it went up to Supreme Court, would win there anyways. But we're waiting, and I always said to the guys, if one of us dies in here, we'll be out. And I shit you not, we would. And guys were like, don't be stupid, man, don't be daft. Well, the captain of the vessel had bone cancer. He was a bit of an animated man. He would, I'm dying, and the Indians would just laugh at him and think he was taking the piss, basically. But he actually was. He had bone cancer. I know I shouldn't laugh, but, you know...
Squatty humour, mate.
To be honest, if he'd handled things better on that vessel, he might not have rubbed the police up the wrong way, and this might not have ended. Or if he'd just done his job properly, this might not have happened, you know what I mean? So I'm not particularly fussed. He could have died in that prison for all I cared. I'm not bothered. But, you know, thankfully he didn't. You know, flick the switch, you can think one thing and then you can think another. You had to be there to realise what people were like, and I have my opinions on everyone, and everyone has theirs on others. But he had a case going through the courts as well, so as we're waiting at one court and nothing's happening, his goes all the way to the Supreme Court, and every state in India has a Chief Justice, and then just like what we've got at the Old Bailey down in London, the main judge, the top dog of all of India, heard his case. And it was quite funny as when we're getting the information back off the lawyers, and it was like he didn't even care about his health because he wanted to get private health care and to die out of prison for his family to come over. Little did he know his treatment was working. Thankfully, anyways, you know, you don't want anyone to die really, especially when they're part of your group. And he went, why are you still in my country? You know, and they're going, we're waiting on a decision down in Madrai for nearly 1 year, Your Honour. And he's gone, what? Right, and he's wrote something down. He goes, you've got 2 week window, I want a court date in 2 weeks. A week goes by, we get a court date, and we always gave it little named days like Judgment Day. Judgment Day for us was the 27th, 28th of November 2017. And the night before, on the Sunday night, came on the radio. I think they were playing 80s rock ballads, whatever. And I know this to people think it sounds corny, cheesy, but when you're in that situation, the final countdown song came on by, is it Europe?
Europe.
And I said to the guys in that citadel, I went, that's it, we are going home. We are going home, and we will be home for Christmas. Because
that should have been on, shouldn't it? Going home for Christmas by Chris Ray.
Yeah. But I felt so positive hearing that song. The next day, our court date was finally getting heard. A decision will be made on that day. Because if it didn't, it was going to Supreme Court. And it came from Supreme Court. So either way, it's over. But you still got guys who couldn't see it. They couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't blame them. But I remained quite positive. I had me down days. But I think I had more positive days than not so positive ones. But the next day, obviously no one slept that night. And I've been in the gym, and I get told by one of the guys saying it's over around tea time. So I think there was about 40 court cases to go through. Surprise, surprise, we were the last. And to be told it's over was like a fantastic feeling. But we never slept that night. And then the next day, the embassy come and get we. That's when you know it's real. So we get out, and a few days of going through proceedings like getting an exit permit for our visa to finally leave the country. And for those who supported me, for those who were watching it live as it happened on me come back to Newcastle airport, for every time I went to sleep, I always imagined what it would be like, and it was always different. But what happened on that day was nothing could I ever think of. And if you've not seen it and you want to know what family is all about and emotions, I think you should watch it, because it's eerie quiet, and you see the support of me coming home. Yes, I grew my hair. It was 2 years worth. I couldn't grow a beard because every time I got to the stage of it itching, I wanted to rive it off, so I grew my hair instead. But to come home after 4 long years was an amazing, and I thank everyone at the airport, all the staff that made it happen. I thank every single person who supported me, all the military charities, all the military personnel who serving, obviously couldn't make the noise with them being serving, but they did show the support. And everyone in the northeast, mainly Asherton, the town where I come from, I had people from Australia, France, Canada supporting me, writing letters, sending us parcels. I'll never forget that. It just shows that what happened to us was truly a horrible thing, but I believe it brought people together to show love and support, and that will stay with me for the rest of my life, and I'll always say I'm thankful. And
it's an absolutely, it's a harrowing story, it's an absolutely amazing one. Would you, because we've got to wrap it up there, would you like to do a bit of an advert of when your book's coming out, when people can buy it and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I am doing a book because trying to get over 4 years, it's near impossible. And I had so many people saying, Nick, you should do a book, you've got a fantastic story. And I thought, you know what, why not? So I finally got a book coming out. It's going to be released March the 26th next year.
Just after your birthday.
So my birthday's on the 1st of March. Yeah. There's a London book fair, hopefully promoting my book, and then my book publication date 26th of March. The book is going to be called Surviving Hell, because I do believe I survived 4 years of hell. So pre-orders, etc., will obviously hopefully not be long before the release date. So once I physically know when people can pre-order, I will shoot it on all my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram and my Facebook.
We'll advertise it on here for you as well.
Yeah, like I say, I'm easy to find. Just type in my name, Nick Dunn, and I'm sure you just can find us if you want to follow me, whatnot, and go through the experience that I've gone through in a supportive way. I'll be very grateful for that. And once my book comes out, I hope I can tell the full 4 years, and you can sit and watch and listen to me, but I think once you read it, you can really feel the emotions, the family emotions of what we went through as a family over 4 years, the ups, the downs again, and then finally the end game, and that's me coming home. And to be honest, I'm having to deal with this every day. As a mental health, yes, because I've gone through a traumatic time. I'm not going to bleat on about mental health. I've dealt with it in my own way. It has been hard in certain times, but I've got amazing support to keep us going.
You can always come back on another time when your book's released and talk about mental health. We do a lot about mental health. So.
Yeah, I know you do, and like I say, I've gone through a dark period of my life, and I hope when people see what I went through by reading my book, the resilience to not give in, because people, when they go into that dark abyss, don't recover, and unfortunately they take their own life. And I've been there. I know what them thoughts are like, and it's horrible. I shouldn't be waking up in the morning and planning stuff like that.
No.
You don't need to think like that. But being resilient and getting on with your life, you know, looking at adversity in the face and saying, you know what, I'm going to get on with my life. You're not going to keep me down, because there's too much negativity in this world, and I think we all need to be a lot more positive in life.
I agree, mate. Right, well, thank you so much for coming in. We'll look forward to our signed copy of your book to keep downstairs.
Well, I've got a special red crayon, so if people have 5-year-olds, I bet the handwriting's better than mine.
Right, thank you very much for calling me up, mate. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
No problem.